I'll begin with like a saying that many indigenous warriors and activists and women often say, and it's like, what you do to the land, you do to the people. What you do to the people, you do to the land. And so I think it's around that, as Mark also just said, that old politics and how it dominates the land and the people and destroys them. The old politics and the old capitalist system in a way that we still operate in. And so I want to kind of shift away from the land towards humans again, and begin by speaking about a little bit the journey I've had with working with sisterhoods, consciously working with, restoring that trust and that solidarity between women. Because for me, what I see very often and very clearly is that also, we've not only destroyed like the ecological systems and the web of life in the natural world, but we've also, the capitalist and the patriarchal ways have very much dominated and destroyed the relationships between women, like broken them apart and also tried to keep us small, separate out of the system. And so I've been, for a long time exploring this and also like going around that question of how to fit a cyclical nature into a linear structure, how to balance this, how to honor the cyclicality while we're actually operating in the linearity in the systems we operate in. And so I've been like more recently holding these spaces for just women to get together, one in German and one in English, just as an exploration, as an experimentation ground of, what does it mean to live in this world, how to belong into this world, where do we want to belong, how do we want to belong, how can we be in this world, how can we be human, how can we be woman, what does it mean, what are the feminine qualities that are needed to bring systems back into balance. How could a system built more on feminine qualities look like, more on actually honoring the cycles and being in tune with nature and in relationship with it rather than constantly going against it, be it a human nature or the earth. So that's like one field I'm very much exploring, and it's super beautiful to have that space of exploration and also connection where just women from all sorts of ages get together, and it's just so touching to hear stories and have that, see how difficult it often is, and how many, especially older women, often share that they're not used to these spaces to actually speak from the heart and just connect, and how much more easy it seems to be for younger women to actually just do it and connect, and to really see the impact of like that trust being built, that love being reestablished, that solidarity growing again, so we can actually stand together and build and work together from there. So that's one thing that's very, very beautiful and very touching, and in a way for me highly political, because I notice in myself every time I hold that space. I was reflecting on it earlier, how crazy it is that every time I hold that space, I have that little voice in me, that little demeaning voice that belittles what I do, telling me that it's not really valuable, it's just silly what we're doing. No, it's like, oh, it's cute, women being together speaking, so it's kind of, it's just crazy how deep that narrative and that conditioning sits, even like in me, that I'm so aware of it now. So it just shows me, like I hear the voice and I obviously acknowledge it, but I'm not gonna get discouraged by it in a way, because it just shows me again of how needed it is now, how needed these spaces are, and how much this voice is actually missing in our systems and in the world. So that's one basket I'm wanting to present. Because for me, this is really, it's activism, it's political, I feel it is essential for me for belonging into this world, for survival in a way. Like if we don't manage to shift the system back into balance and rebalance the masculine and the feminine, we're pretty much doomed in my eyes. So we'll see what we find out in our little experimentation that continues for the next 2 months, and I'm very excited to see what other spaces we'll enter and what journeys we'll go on.